Hello, I'm Vincent Moiso. I'm president of Oceanside Glass and Tile.
I'd love to start off with my next guest, who is Vincent Moiso, president of Oceanside Glass and Tile. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'd love to dig in. Why don't you share your own personal journey and tell us how you got here, both personally as well as professionally?
I grew up in Southern California. I grew up in Costa Mesa in Orange County. The company itself started in Oceanside, hence the name. The company's been around for over 30 years at this point. My journey took me overseas. So I, after college, had the opportunity to be in Italy for roughly about a year. I did a couple stints out in Finland. And I came back and settled in San Clemente, California, and I jumped into the tile and stone industry. And I came up primarily in natural stone. So that first part of my career enabled me to travel the world. So I got to go back to Italy. I visited the Carrera quarry. I was in Spain. I got to be in Novelda visiting the Crema Marfil quarries. I spent some time in France. I spent some time in England. So I was working for a company that was based in Portugal, and they were fabricating limestone. So I went all through those limestone quarries out in Portugal. Just an amazing experience. You know, most people in their entire career in tile and stone don't get to do things like that. So I'm very blessed and thankful. Well, I met these guys from Oceanside, going back 20 plus years, and they were doing some funky stuff with glass. Like they were doing these mosaics and, all sorts of field tile and decorative tile and all these things that were just completely different. And they took the tile world a little bit by storm, because if you go back a couple of decades, not many people were doing mosaics. Like you didn't have the stone mosaics that you see today. You didn't have the porcelain mosaics or the ceramic mosaics. They really owned that space. And I just wanted to be a part of that. I became friends with the original founder of the business, very close friends with his business partner at the time. And we started doing business together. And about 10 years ago, I jumped in as a partner in the business and became president of the business to really help change the business.
What an amazing story. Tell me, you've taken the direction of this business. Looking forward, where do you see Oceanside Glass and Tile heading?
We've made a lot of changes since I've been a part of the organization. And I think what happens to companies when you're, 30 years or more along the way is you have to rediscover your core competency, because you grow and you scale and you start to change things and you do things that you think you can do, and you forget the essence of who you are. So really for Oceanside, what we've done in the past several years is really get back to our core competency, which is making glass. We supply a lifestyle. I mean, I'm not selling glass. We're selling a lifestyle. I mean, that's what we do, right? And we sell into a couple different markets. We don't sell just into the tile a market or construction industry. And glass is an incredible medium to do that with. Our product primarily is focused on pools, that landscape architecture. So as people, especially since 2020, have really extended their living spaces outdoors, our product is a perfect fit for that. We win. We're with some of the top national customers in the country. We sell internationally, and our product does really well in that exterior environment. So we're focused there. Material Bank has been amazing. We've been a partner with Material Bank for several years now. And that type of brand awareness that a partnership with Material Bank that can create is where we want to go in the future.
Thank you for those kind words. Now, outdoors, what type of installations? High-end residences, I'm sure that's one segment. Multifamily, hospitality. Share with me sort of the segments that you're focused on.
Yeah, really the pool is number one. So if I'm going to go specific, is our product is our mosaic glass tile product is very unique because it can go into a freestyle environment. So the quality of our product, the way that we manufacture, which is very proprietary, and the way that we anneal or cool our glass products it removes all the stress from the glass, which allows it to be submerged in water. So any water feature, if you're talking about that spa, if you're talking about the pool, if you're just talking about a water feature, so oftentimes you'll see that vertical wall with that waterfall, the infinity pool where you've got that wall that drops down. So completely covering that with glass. Glass is the number one medium that you can use for that type of application. And our glass, there's only probably about 3 or 4 glass manufacturers that can say what I'm saying, that their product can actually be submerged, go into that freeze-thaw environment, and the life cycle of that product is incredibly long. And there's no other way to capture color, vibrancy, that energy, the vibration of glass, the energy of glass. All of that is pretty incredible. So it's really the pool that we're focused. Now, the high end residential, no question, that residential project is probably about 90% of where our glass goes. And then the other 10% is hospitality.
Now, prior to coming to Material Bank, I'm sure you were investing in obtaining leads and being able to identify the customers that you're looking to sell to in other avenues. I'd love to just get a sense of where else do you invest to gain leads, and how does Material Bank compare versus that other area of spend?
I found Material Bank roughly 5 or 6 years ago, and it was very early. It was like really kind of early as Material Bank was really growing. This concept of, oh, how about a single source for designers and architects to capture all the samples they need to put together for their projects. And as you guys were building out your manufacturer partners, I was very early in the conversations of saying, "Gosh, I see what that this is the future, right?" I really think it is, because when you simplify the ability for a designer to get the samples that they need to make a buying decision, there's no easier way to do it, because we're not great at that. We're really good at manufacturing, but we're not great at the sample and distribution part, right? So to partner with somebody that can do that. Now, you asked the question about what about leads. Ironically, when I came into the business, we weren't doing any of that. We really weren't controlling our leads, because the business has primarily been B2B. We're a manufacturer, and so we do sell to a lot of retailers across the country, and that's great. We love those partnerships, and we'll never move away from those partnerships. But they're also representing many other manufacturers and distributors, and could never possibly represent the full breadth of our product in the way that we can on our own. And if you know anything about lead generation, if you're not controlling your lead generation, then you're really not doing lead generation, right? So Material Bank continues to be our primary source of lead generation.
Amazing. Share with us a few large projects that you've won as a result of the Material Bank leads.
When people are thinking of their flooring, right, they're going to buy thousands of square feet of a stone tile or a porcelain tile. Well, they're not thinking of glass mosaic in that way, right? So most of the time, glass mosaic will be maybe a an accessory, or a design accessory, an element that's going to enhance what they're doing. Well, so when we get a pool, a full vessel pool, it's huge, because we're selling 1,000 or a couple thousand square feet of glass mosaic, which you can understand why we love that, right? Because that volume is important to us, and our product looks the best in pools. So we have, through Material Bank, we have received a couple of good size hospitality pool projects and very large residential pool projects that have been great for us. Look, we don't need all the big ones. We love all the projects that we get. We follow up on every single lead, and it's put us in a position where we've got the opportunity that we can engage direct with that customer downstream, find out what they need and how we can service that need. And maybe sometimes they're better serviced by our retail partner, and we can turn them on to that retail partner locally. And we've done that many times as well.
What's a good sized project for you guys in terms of dollars? So if you're doing a resort pool, what does the spend look like for that actual hotel owner or that property owner?
Between $100,000 and $200,000, which is a lot of glass. That's why I was using the analogy of, you know, someone might spend $1 million on all of the stone that's going to go on the veneer and the deck and, you know, other areas, right? They're easily going to spend $1 million because there's thousands of feet of that. Whereas, you know, the glass component is going to be a much smaller component. So imagine, you know, for us to hit a project that's $250,000, that's an amazing project for us.
So I would imagine, you know, as a follow up to that, that the ROI in terms of the spend on Material Bank has been a home run for you guys.
Yeah, it has been great. I mean, which is why we continue to partner and we'll continue to partner in the future. And we track. I mean, this is important for you to know. And I want anybody who's even watching this thinking about Material Bank is you have to track it, right? You have to see what the statistics are. And so we love. So every week I get an update on what those stats are from Material Bank. I get emailed that. My marketing team gets emailed that. Then my marketing team takes that and captures all our other lead generation and everything else that we're doing and puts that together in a weekly report so that we can see, you know, what are we doing, how are we doing. Then within our CRM, my whole team is marking every lead as a Material Bank lead, right? So then as we follow that lead all the way through, we know it came from Material Bank. We can actually track what the ROI is on a spend each month.
You know, a lot of the brands that are out there that do look at us, they're a touch skeptical. They're not sure about joining Material Bank. But your words would sound like they'd be dive in. You should absolutely do it. Is that, I don't want to put words in your mouth. What would you say?
You have to put in a meaningful amount of samples and you have to have a product that obviously is going to be desirable in the marketplace, and you know that people are going to request it. So there's a lot of drivers, right? There's no question, you know your craft, know your business, know your product and your place in the market before jumping in. But if you've checked all those boxes, I think Material Bank is going to drive a tremendous amount of leads for you.
For those who are coming and discovering Oceanside Glass and Tile for the first time on Material Bank, what would you encourage them to take a look at? And what does the sales process look like so that they can gain comfort in the technical knowledge and the work through process?
So we've placed all that data on all that information on Material Bank. And then we obviously have our own site, glasstile.com, really simple. And between the two, you can get all the information that you need. Now, here's what's important. As a manufacturer, we have a responsibility to provide guidelines and data that make a buying decision very simple for someone who's working on a high-end residential or a commercial project. What do they need? Well, they need to understand all the technical data and background of that product for the application. Then they need to know, well, are there very specific installation guidelines that I need to understand? Are there certain applications that this product maybe can't go into? Or does it apply for what I'm doing? You know, so how do you find all that information, right? Because they're really responsible for making that decision and making sure that the product is applicable for what they're specifying. So we have all of that. We have very detailed installation guidelines. We've got incredible test data to back up what our product can do and where it can be applied, especially when you're talking about exterior application. And then we've got basically an application chart. So it just tells you exactly where our product can go and how it works. Then you've got the aesthetics, right? So we have to have the product photographed right. You have to have the sample right so that you can see what the actual color is going to be and it's going to work for you. So we work hard to make sure that our samples are stocked well with Material Bank so people have access to all those products. And we work hard to make sure that the images that you see on our site or on Material Bank are very representative of the product that you're going to receive.
Vincent, on behalf of the entire team at Material Bank, I want to thank you and your team at Oceanside Glass and Tile, not only for supporting us from the very beginning, but for this journey to continue. We'll always be there to help you guys. Thank you so much.